going on, everybody? Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday, happy maintenance day, happy maintenance hype day. We are back. I got my coffee. It says Papa Bear on it, so we are still very much looking at the bearish side of things. But I gotta say, guys, I'm having a crisis of faith here. I really am having a crisis of faith. So these streams are going to get much more interesting. Now, when I say crisis of faith, what I'm referring to is the fact that I'm just looking at a lot of bullish factors on the macro that to me are fantastically interesting. And so, I don't know what this necessarily means for Splinterlands, but I'll tell you this: anytime Bitcoin starts to get people excited, a lot of that does flow down into alts. Now, we have seen, a very obvious trend of Bitcoin goes down, SPS goes down, Bitcoin goes up, SPS goes down. So, there's still that factor, but ultimately I'm also bullish on a lot of stuff that's happening in and around the game as well. So, we're going to have to dig, but I'm sure we'll find some things to be bearish about, right? Papa Bear is going to find some things to be bearish about. But good morning. Let's see what we got in the house. Andrew Johnston, hello. Wibble, what is going on? Good morning to Harris. Happy mixed feelings on Dragon Summoner Day. Yeah, it's I don't think it's what anybody really expected. Although, come on, you guys got to give this stream props, because we've been talking about a camouflage summoner. I know I don't have the time or the energy to go back through and find it, but I do know that it is somewhere in the past that we've talked about it here. Dice 12, what's happening? Merlin's Matrix, let's pump the train, hype train, tank heal instead of triage would have been perfect for that. I actually don't mind triage. I think it works really well with camouflage, but we'll see. BB Omega, Cimarron, what's going on? Icy Flow in the house. Hello. Oh, guys, all right. Well, we have a special guest today. So let me. I'm gonna update the title of the stream too, just to make sure we have it. But let me go ahead and get him on, because we're gonna have, I think, a good discussion today about a lot of the DAO stuff and the Blockchain Founders Fund. So let's, everybody, please put your hands together for the one, the only, Foyet. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing all right. Well, you and I were going back and forth, so thanks for taking the time to hop on.
Yeah.
How are you feeling first? If you want to go ahead, I don't know, take a moment to introduce yourself for anybody who might be new here, and then also just kind of let us know where you're at after yesterday's massive info dump.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot to think about. I'm actually the Rooney 207 is my YouTube channel. So,
is it really?
Yeah.
Woo, congratulations.
So I'm tinkering with it. Part of the challenge I have is more of the technical side. It's actually acquiring the opposite skill set that you have. You're more comfortable with the mic and the music and things like that, and creating some of this stuff.
Oh, I mean, yeah. You just do it so much. You'll get used to it.
Yeah.
Actually, let me go ahead.
That's what everyone tells me.
The first time I had to record videos here, and this was like a long time ago, but first time I started just putting stuff out there, it was weird for me to just like talk to no one.
Yeah.
But as soon as I got comfortable with it, and then there was like the validation of like, I put the videos out. There was no promo or anything behind it. I wasn't marketing it, but I just realized there was an audience of people that wanted to talk about this with me. I was just like, oh, okay, well, now it's done. I just have to get over it. So I think for you, the fact that, you already know that there's a built-in audience here, which is awesome. And people really respect your opinion. So just share it, man. Just find ways to share it that you feel comfortable with.
Yeah. So I'll try a different.
Okay, so can you go ahead and shoot me a link to it, or is it just youtube.com/Rooney207?
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, we will. I'll see.
Yeah, I think right now a few people found their.
People found their way there. Amazing. Look at that, everybody. We already have people who are subbing to the channel. That's beautiful to see. Dice is saying I was leaning more towards reflection. I really thought we'd get a reflection shield summoner as well, but virus in the house. Clevin, what's going on? And then you got a couple folks here who are already subbed to the channel, so that is awesome. Okay, so where would you like to start? Because you reached out to me. We were talking after the town hall last night, and then you brought up some interesting points about who's in control of the DAO and all of that. So first, if I could just ask, did you also get a chance to listen to Aggie in the kind of like post town hall hour that he did?
A little bit, but not too much. I didn't catch up on that too much.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Hold on 1 second. Weirdbeard, thank you for the Papa Bear shout out. I meant to reach out to you and shoot you a text because as soon as I heard it, I was just like, oh, bro, you're calling me Papa Bear in front of Aggie. But it seemed like he got a good laugh out of it. So thank you for the shout out. And Aaron Kennedy's in the house too. Awesome. All right, let's jump into it, Foyet. So what were your thoughts yesterday? Just high level.
I think it's the timing was is good. I think it's appropriate to introduce. I think within the MAB chat and many of the players and within our community, I believe a large percentage of us thought that Aggie was a signature piece, and then behind the DAO, he would be the signature authority. And then the second component is that there's a high likelihood the DAO would be domiciled outside the United States. We just didn't know where. We didn't know how to look it up from a registry perspective, where it was official. And we still have questions around it. But I think it was great to bring one of their board members, one of us, Sea Monster's board member, Ali, to the equation.
So, because I don't remember hearing that. So are you saying that Ali is the one in full control of the DAO, or at least has keys to it? Okay.
Well, for every DAO, you have to have a signature authority, someone to sign off, and they could act on behalf of the DAO community itself. Yes.
Got it. Okay. And if I do remember correctly, he's based in Singapore, so that is outside the U.S. jurisdiction. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, and many DAOs reside within Singapore. I think even Binance try to structure, and this is why I think Vitalik spends a lot of his time in Singapore as well.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Well, I mean, anything to keep the overreaching hands of the governmental U.S. agencies off of it, I would say okay, because I don't know, we need clear regulation, and I don't think anybody's really happy with how the SEC is just trying to regulate by enforce by was it enforcement by legislation or something like that, or enforcement by lawsuit? Or like that?
So there's within the United States and possibly like the British, the old, basically the Alexander Hamilton legal model that they built. You either sue your way to a regulatory law, or you get Congress to establish the law front. And so sometimes it's just easier to kind of go through the litigation process and just to have it. And I think a large percentage of the community may view it differently, where you think Congress should know, but the reality is Congress are either just like above average human beings that have gone through their life experiences, and they have different age group, and they have their own thesis, their own views on the world. And sometimes it's just better it's like leadership. Sometimes it's like Aggie, like he sometimes just wants the community to make decisions. He doesn't want to be the decision maker. And I think this is one of those things that can potentially affect the U.S. in large ways. And one of the advantages that any sovereign nation or any nation with a large military footprint is that even though the DAO or any organization or entity decides to reside outside the United States, it doesn't mean that its arm's length can be completely removed from the United States. True. The United, like the Russian guy, the United States, captured from Hong Kong and things like that. So there's the United States has, if they really want to get to someone, they will. It's just a matter of priority and interest alignment.
I mean, at this point, I would say Splinterlands is not even remotely close to being anywhere on their radar. There's a lot of other very big projects that I'm sure they'd want to get their hands on.
Yeah, and the gaming sector is, I view gaming as kind of like the historical art piece, right, or the athlete. So a lot of things that you affect, like for instance, football represents maybe $8 to $10 billion of annual revenue, right?
Hmm.
Football is a great pastime. But from an annual revenue perspective, the National Football League, it's not that large. But what it is large is it extends to the gambling piece. And
Yeah,
this is why the New Jersey had to implement the gambling laws. So if you add like the gambling aspect of it, right, and then you add all the food, you add all the pieces that go into it, it's like March Madness is the same way as a whole. That whole basketball event isn't that large from a
yeah.
revenue standpoint, but it's the tiering, how many tentacles it affects. So I think gaming is probably going to be the preeminent conversation like 30 years from now. It's not going to be. It's like a leading conversation. I believe one of the executives at a large gaming studio kind of explained it to me in a his version of it is eventually gaming will consume the NFT space,
Yeah,
gaming will consume DeFi space, gaming will consume a lot of the unbanked or underbanked economies of the world. Gaming will consume things that we view maybe as recession proof. Type economy structure.
sure.
So gaming will encompass a lot of different areas, components of the world's economy, the world's GDP. So
Hmm.
eventually, maybe 30 years from now, Congress will be interested in regulating gaming.
Well, I guess I just hope that SPS hits $1 before the next 30 years, before
Yeah,
2050.
so it's like it's like one of the things that Aggie had mentioned. It's math, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
what you view of math. What's your opinion and how you apply math? So like,
Okay, fair, fair. Okay, can I ask something tangentially related to this? Because what's been interesting is to see a lot of the negative rhetoric that's been coming out of Washington D.C. or just U.S. authority, which is very much like they might go after staking or ban staking, NFTs, all this because I know that your social circle is probably very different than my social circle, and the net worth probably of your social circle is probably very different from mine in terms of the people that you've told me that you've had conversations with. Is there any worry about this rhetoric long term? Because part of me looks at it and it's just like, is it just smoke and mirrors, where it's just trying to scare people in the market? It's just a narrative and allow bigger whales to be able to buy in at lower prices, especially some of these top tier projects? Or is there an actual risk that some people do worry about, who are closer to maybe the DC circle or whatever you want to call it?
I think it's just depending on which side of the wall you're at and which party you kind of favor or view. And views change also,
Sure.
and everyone's just trying to defend their turf or kind of extend push their belief on the world's economy, right?
Hmm.
So at the end of the day, it's really your belief system and how you're going to invest your time and your energy. I think the reality is no one really knows in terms of this. I know there's maybe some conspiracy theory or some different beliefs
Yeah,
and
yeah.
views, but I think we're still way too early in crypto. And with regard to staking, it might be like a Kraken situation where they just forgot some U.S. paperwork they had to do,
Hmm.
and for their penalty is they can't provide staking anymore, things like that. Versus someone like Coinbase went and had that conversation with the SEC, and they just
Yeah.
accepted the feedback, which is I think Gary Gensler had said we'll sue you or something like that,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. No,
yeah.
that
Yeah,
makes
so
sense.
it's just like how much money you're going to throw, how much you're going to invest into the program of the United States. But the United States is only one voice, right? It may be
True.
one of the larger three voices in the world, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of competing governments of the world, and governments will implement some kind of digital currency. It's just how they're going to implement it, and what format, and then how they're going to leverage blockchain. And a lot of it is we believe, like in privacy, we believe that blockchain is immutable, and so I know from my line of work, nothing is really immutable, and there's always ways around it. And as long as you have prime numbers are not that something that can be it can't be hacked or anything like that. It's just a matter how there's social engineering. There's a lot of vectors. There's a lot of attack vectors that we can apply to these, and especially when it comes to, like, you don't really necessarily attack the bot, even though you can attack the bot if it's algorithmically designed, but mostly you attack the humans.
Yeah. Call me naive, maybe even call me overconfident, but part of me feels like the chances that, like, the US does something super dumb and shoots itself in the foot are very low, right? So it's not necessarily that they're going to ban or whatever, but the real risk, and if you can call it risk, it's just more so in the sense of global competition, is the fact that other smaller countries, more nimble, more maybe just adoptive of newer technologies, will come along and start to eat up market share in this space before the US, which is, like, trying to turn a giant ship, actually has a chance to do so. Now, I mean, if the US can get there, then hopefully that shouldn't matter. But ultimately, I guess I don't worry about it too much. But at the end of the day, maybe I always just make sure I listen to the conspiracy theorists, so I know what they're thinking. Just because I'm like, I need to know where the opposite side of the spectrum is. So
yeah, absolutely. I think gaming has a long ways to go before we have to worry about it. I think what we represent, especially Web3 crypto gaming market, in terms of the economy, is so small relative to everything else.
Yeah. Well, them going after DeFi or even CeFi in a sense, right? Like the Celsiuses of the world, or even Kraken. To me, that just represents. It was a threat on the banks. It was a threat on Wall Street, and Wall Street just wants its piece of it. So they're going to fight tooth and nail. Gaming is just way too small of a sector with too many gray areas for right now. But I agree with you, and I hope your timeline is right. I hope they don't turn the eye of Sauron until 20, 30 years from now, because that'll allow the gaming sector to at least grow without any unnecessary hurdles to jump through. I mean,
Yeah, it's just like
more than they already have to.
Yeah, it's just like radio, TV, the internet, e-commerce. I think the government will take a measured approach to it. There's going to be a lot of rhetoric, and there's got to be a push on both sides. But at the end of the day, I believe they'll do things that will serve their constituents and their greater interest. And I believe there's going to be an overlap. So when we look at like Moloch's game theory and things like that, we will screw up. Humanity will mess up, but at the end of the day, we'll come back. We'll revert to what we think will work.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I see Flo saying all regulatory talk about crypto legitimizes crypto. I don't think current regulatory bodies will be overreaching. Yeah, I see Flo. That's my hope too. I hope it's just all rhetoric right now and not necessarily action. But we shall see.
I don't view like negative news as anything bad. Even for Splinterlands, I think as long as you have conversation, as long as you have people who are interested in it, it's when we stop talking about it. It's when we stop playing. That's when I think we will worry about it.
Gotcha. Okay, let's start. Let's go or circle back to the DAO now and the conversation yesterday. A couple of streams ago, I think when I had you and Vet V on, you were very much against any kind of exchange listing, or at least saying that it's not worth our time, or it could be bad. I don't know if you want to revisit that, and then how you feel about the current proposal as it stands.
Yeah, I think what Aggie and Ali state in terms of the fees itself and the cost, the earlier that the DAO makes a decision on this to list, and I'm not sure what their strategy is, and I don't even know if our community will have necessarily a say in it. There will probably be maybe around 50, 60 people that will have a say in it, not necessarily our our community as a whole, based on our SPS holdings and the
Okay.
interest, and then also Ali has to agree to it because he's a signature. He doesn't have to act as what the community. It's kind of like our DAO proposal. The Splinterlands teams don't have to take it if they view it as it's sort of like a second line of defense. They're looking at it as they're the more rational of the group.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if they're going to do it, I think the earlier, because SPS is at relatively low. I think it's probably one of the reasons why they're having this conversation now.
Yeah.
We're under 3 cents, and I don't know if maybe if Ali anticipates that the SPS may go up, and I
Sure.
don't know what amount. It's probably from a transactional cost standpoint, it's cheaper to give someone, and it's a lot easier for the DAO to vote and see that, okay, we're going to transfer 20 million SPS to this exchange. Well, at 3 cents, it's a lot more palatable, and it's something that we can consume than
Sure.
when it's at 30 cents, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Well, okay. So my understanding is these listing fees or whatever that they would need would probably be paid in US dollars, right? So does it really matter what the price of SPS is? And obviously, I say that full well knowing that if the price of SPS jumps to 30 cents, it's probably a number of factors, including the market actually starting to pick up a little bit too, right? So we
Yes.
don't exist in a vacuum, which means that the prices on the listings, if they are in USD, would probably start to go up if exchanges recognize that, hey, bull market is back, or bull run is back. So I mean, I don't disagree that right now is definitely a good time, and I would trust Aggie and Ali at least more than myself when it comes to knowing these things. So
Yeah, and I think in terms of listing on a centralized exchange, it's another path for the whales to build a dump.
sure.
Essentially, it's a good exit opportunity. It's an off ramp for them. I think historically, I think a product or a gaming structure like SPS, because it's on the Hive blockchain, the game itself. I know the token, the governance token, is on Binance, but the game itself is on Hive. So
Is on
I
Hive,
think,
yeah.
yeah, it's going to be difficult for someone to come on. Still, the on ramp is still going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think many people realize that like SPS is actually a native BSC, or I guess now BNB token.
Yes.
It's been bridged over to both Ethereum and not even the Hive blockchain, because the Hive blockchain doesn't work like that, right? So we're SPS is bridged not onto Hive, but onto the layer 2s that exist on Hive, which are Hive Engine and Splinterlands game, as well as now, well, or not now, but in the future, probably the SPS chain, which will all be like these layer 2s that exist on Hive. All right, so
Yeah,
viruses. Oh,
it'll
go
be
ahead.
interesting if Matt will feel that the SPS chain will have to do more of the uplift piece because of
Mhm.
some of the limitations on Hive. So that'll be a interesting development. We'll see over time, see how Matt views things and how Hardpoint is going to code it and develop it.
Yeah. I mean, Iceflow is agreeing with you here for the whales. Like, if we get that 10x or 10 to 100x SPS pump, we will need exchanges to take profits. I support getting listings. I mean, I want to take my profits at 100x. Why not?
Yeah, you kind of have to ask yourself why you would hold, right? And
I've it's interesting being here now, where we've been for we'll just say the last 3 to 4 months, maybe even the last 6 months, because I think back to 2017, I think back to 2021, like early 2017, early 2021, and I always look back and I'm just like, who are the people that were like involved in these projects, that had like Matic at a penny, that had all these different things that pre 100 200x gains. And so my hope is that, okay, well, now we're at the beginning of 2023 here, and, as we start to go through, and I'm not saying it's going to happen this year, but hopefully whenever the next bull run comes, if it is after the Bitcoin halving, it's like, oh well, I was one of those people that was there now, right, through the bear market, playing the game, acquiring more SPS, doing all that. And if SPS can make its 100x run, then yes, I would be the one selling to those people, thinking that SPS is going to go from $3 to $10, right?
Yeah, and our market and our economy is no different than the real world, right? Those people you're talking about in the pennies, 2 cents, and things like that, they're selling. They're part of the accredited investor community,
Sure.
and the major difference, I believe, between crypto, Web3, and some of the traditional finance structure is that it allows other people that are non-accredited investors to buy into this component of it. And
Sure.
also it allows the company, the entity itself, to demarcate from like a C corporation structure. They can create a DAO that can reside somewhere else, and it can be sheltered in a way or protected in some other legal structure. And we have yet to kind of from a quantum merit and legal challenge perspective, the case law behind some of these needs to be, I guess, exercised and kind of develop over time. So we'll see. We don't know yet. But the beauty of what Web3 brings is we now have more choices as consumers, as players. We can actually invest in something that we believed in. And the downside is we have to understand the risk as an investor, as someone who holds the token.
Gotcha. Do you have any other thoughts on I guess the conversation yesterday? Is this something that you're voting for, that you want to see?
Probably not. I don't. I still don't believe that I believe a centralized exchange structure is really good for large. Like so, for instance, I view this as like the Nasdaq or the New York Stock Exchange, or so. Gala is good. Is a good example where Gala, the gaming company, can list themselves on it and can put on a traditional centralized exchange because they have that uplift, that financial, that large. They can have the large investor footprint, and it's a lot easier to sell someone. Now, if Steam were to be listed and they decide not to list, let's say on the NASDAQ, if they were going to SPAC it or S1, go public IPO process, and Steam, Matt, Aggie, Dennis, Ali, whoever as part of their board and as part of their large shareholder community decides to list it from a public standpoint and take on public debt and things like that, then they can list it, and then they can list it on a centralized exchange. It makes sense because they have the aggregate footprint versus like the SPS DAO itself. We're small. We're no matter how you grow it, you're only going to grow it to so big. Itself, it's like you're never going to get the economic return on the listing. The fees for one of these top 3 exchange. It's just so costly to maintain it, and it's all it is whether the community believes it's fair for them to enable the whales to dump at a meaningful, accessible, and flexible time that they can control. So it's a question of transfer of authority, right? The ownership of the SPS from the large whales. So what the large whale is saying is that if you list it, it'll go X number of factors, multiple. I'm happy with it. I'm going to sell it and buy it back, but I'm not going to buy it at its full valuation either. So it's kind of like the original accredited investors. They got it for X number of cents, and it went up to almost $1, and they were just dumping it all the way, right?
Okay, so I mean, the thing is, I can see that, but are we ignoring the potential benefits of easier on ramps?
Oh yeah. That's one of the long-term benefit is that you can endure all this and you can pay. So the payback period, the ROI on, and that's the conversation I think Ali, and the beauty of it is he doesn't have to convince someone like me, right? I own very few SPS, so
sure.
He doesn't have to convince someone like me. He has to convince the others that have like the 10 to 50 million SPS, those guys.
Okay, so I'm still struggling to understand what you would like to see out of all this. So if we don't do if we don't do any kind of centralized exchange, or at least if you're not in favor of that, What is your preferred way of getting the game
SPS chain.
out there? Okay, so that SPS chain, and we did talk about
We
this a
cross
couple.
chain it. Yeah, we just cross chain it. It's a longer
Okay.
time period. It forces Matt and Hardpoint to do a lot of the heavy uplift, which may not be the preferable path from an
Mhm.
internal roadmap perspective, because maybe their energy, their time, their intellectual capital can be better allocated to other projects.
Fair enough. Well, but the thing is, I don't they still have every incentive to get this live, not just for the financial return, but also for the decentralized aspect of the token.
Yeah, but their timeline may not be the same timeline as, let's say, Minos. Right? It's like if you hold if you hold 50 million SPS, your timeline isn't the same as like someone else's timeline. Because one is you have the advantage of accruing additional SPS through staking, right? That would be
Okay.
one, and then you allow the time. The beauty of the being in the early seat is that you accumulate through staking, and you accumulate GLX, you accumulate the vouchers, you accumulate all of these other assets that over a 5-year period, when the airdrop period ends, I think people will be shocked what compound interest
Sure.
represents, and what they can see. Like what most people, the average player, what we can see is only like 3-6 months ahead, right? And what we're not, and this is what Aggie's talking about when he says you do the math, right?
Hmm.
Um, and historically, what that means for Splinterlands is we're at least 12 to 18 months. When you do the math, add 12 to 18 months to it, and we'll probably arrive at some similar conclusion between what leadership at Steam Monster and what the game you'll actually be able to see.
So ultimately, to you, centralized exchange is not worth it from an ROI perspective because
Not
it's
for the
just
average player, no,
not
but
for
for
your average player.
whales, yes. Yes, for whales.
Well, but okay, two questions. First of all, do you know anybody that actually holds 50 million SPS? Because there's nobody in game that's staking 50 million
Aggie,
SPS. Oh, fine. Okay, well,
Matt,
Matt, fine.
Dennis,
Dennis,
Allie.
but is it in? I don't see it in game though. I mean, unless it's an aggregation of accounts.
Or they can document it in a different way from a legal structure standpoint. They can be paid at the back end. I don't know how it works, and I've
Yeah,
never
yeah.
seen I've never seen the legal structure of the formation of the
Okay.
DAO, and I've never seen all the disbursement distribution.
Well, only
Yeah,
because 50 million SPS is roughly one, was it 5% of what's currently
yeah.
in total
We're talking
circulation
about
right
both.
now,
We're
of
talking
which we
both.
have 50. We have roughly 50% stake, but there could be some existing out on Binance that is not
Well,
staked,
and
just
also
floating around
future
liquid.
payment, future
Hmm.
payments that's guaranteed, like earmarked to them and things like that too.
Got it. Okay.
And also we have to kind of keep in mind. So I think if I'm in Matt's brain, I'm looking at it. My goal is to get that 3 billion SPS to 1.5 billion through the burning structure.
Hmm.
So like maybe at the end of the day, he views 1.5 as a manageable number
Sure.
versus the 3 billion. So his goal is to burn, and this comes down to like I'm surprised Splinterlands hasn't done it earlier. Like so the hive power, the hive in terms of like the ECR and all the consumables in the game, it doesn't prevent whales. It's not a deterrent, because like if you have over 300 high power, chances are on the rental market piece, you can rent endlessly and you can just change. And
Sure.
all it hurts are two areas, right? It would hurt Steam Monster, the company, because they're the database. They have to support it, and they have to support every transaction that goes to. So from a throughput perspective, it hurts
Hmm.
them. And then from and then the other piece would be like the renters. It's just like pushing it down, right? And so for Matt and Aggie to want to implement like a 1 DEC fee, I'm shocked they haven't done this earlier, because all it is about the fees to disincentivize, and burning is good.
Yeah. So I kind of want to challenge the notion that it only benefits whales, because I mean, if SPS goes up, then anybody will benefit. Anybody who's here right now
Yes, but then you have to look at like one is what you would do with the sale, the funds, right? Where would you reallocate that? So I think that the most important thing for like investors from a money management standpoint,
Mhm.
yes, it's easy to sell, right? You determine price and you sell it, but you can. And the beauty of crypto is you have AMM. You can pretty much just execute that. But then it's like, what do you do? Can you put it somewhere, reallocate somewhere that you can get a better return than compared to if you were to keep it, right?
Mhm.
And if you were to extrapolate the formula to the end of the SPS cycle, versus like if you're an accredited investor, you can sell, let's say, $5 million worth of SPS when it goes up. You can now be part of an investor, an accredited investor pool, and you can reallocate that to better funds because you can get better asymmetric return. Because at some point, Splinterlands will no longer be part of an asymmetric return piece, and it's no longer an interest to those that are seeking that alpha, the asymmetric return aspect. And I think
Mhm.
my hopes is that the Splinterlands community, as a player base, as a hybrid investor, is that you look at when you're extracting and selling, you can look at it and say, can I go and take this fund and be an accredited investor? And what would that represent? And what are now my access? What funds or what other investment options do I have from an asset class standpoint? Do I need to diversify? So you kind of have to look at. This is the beauty of crypto, right?
Sure.
It forces us to think deeper, to have deeper, meaningful conversation on how do you create your own transgenerational wealth, family wealth structure, right? So
Yeah.
crypto allows that. Versus like prior to that, you can't reasonably get in on like an early startup without being part of an accredited investor
Sure.
community.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't disagree with any of that. I just my worry is that if we, I understand the argument that it's essentially just taking a shortcut, but like I said, I feel like there's opportunities to onboard both whales and non-whales easily into the game, and that could help it potentially go mainstream. But let's hold on, let's catch up on some of the chat here. So Varsus is saying, I'm with what Jarvi was saying. It needs to be a top 5 exchange. Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I know he said top 10, which is fine, but
Yeah,
I
top
would want it
10's
to
not
be
going to work.
I would want it to be something that is very recognizable, and any of the ones that you just listed here would be perfect. Proposal should be redone. Oh, that's fair. I mean, here's the thing: does the proposal need to be redone, or can we, like, if everybody agrees, can we just edit it? Like, it's just a matter of
It's
of
not the
uh,
way the system works.
no, but it is. I mean, at least from a pre-proposal standpoint, like
Yes.
we can make edits right now, and then if it passes, it'll go into the thing. It'll go into the proposal process with that edit. I'm just trying to save 6 days, whatever it is, or yeah, another 7 days. But who else is having pancakes today? As it is pancaked. What is it really? Oh man, I'm gonna have to find a way to eat some pancakes today. Then I guess.
There you go.
Fresh. Oh my gosh, spitting in the face of pancakes. Alex Bernard, what are you doing? Our virus is having a
What's
Michigan
a
pancake today.
Paxi virus? Or
Paxi?
am
I don't know.
I? I'm not
I'm
sure. I have to
assuming
look it up.
it's a Michigan type of pancake.
Oh, I see.
Lapses seems like I won the death wheel for this. Yes, you did. Congrats. And I sent you the Jared Scar. I will send you the one BCX comments. Don't worry, you'll get your penny cards. I literally was doing it right before I started streaming here, and then I ran out of time. So I sent you the Jared Scar, and you will get the rest of it as soon as I'm done. Good morning. Gathering the magic.
Yeah, I mean, Level Up Life has a point on the slippage. It's very high.
Well, so this is what I'm trying to get at, right? So it works both ways. Whales can't get off, and whales can't. I think he said whales can't get off, and whales can't get on. So, I mean, this then goes to the point where it's not about. It's just about a preferred method, right? Like getting the SPS validators up and running is going to be a good onboarding for anybody
I think if
but
you're,
whales.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about like what Level Up Life is talking about. You're talking about like something 100,000 or more. And in my mind, it's probably something in the millions if you're just trying to dump things like that. Yeah, you're just looking for an exit ramp.
Sure. I mean, that's fine, but I'm saying, I guess what I'm trying to get at is that both the SPS chain or validators up and running, as well as a centralized exchange listing can accomplish the same thing. I think where you're coming
It's
from
more
though is that
work.
it's
It's
it's it's
more
more it's more work for the
SPS.
SPS chain,
Yes,
and it's more money or more. Yeah, I mean, there's a fee
and
involved
higher security
for
risk. Yeah.
higher security risk. Oh, dealing with an exchange.
SPS chain, the
Oh, SPS
vulnerability
chain.
for the cross
Okay.
chain. But you know, the easiest is basically you dump USDC, Bitcoin, and Ethereum onto the chain, and you create a liquidity pool, and that's it.
That's doable. So, are we
Yeah.
gonna have wrapped USDC?
Well, that's what I believe. Well, I don't think USDC is wrapped because I think Circle built it where it's not. But in terms of the Ethereum piece, currently, yes, without some of the sharding and some of the other initiatives. You know, Shanghai's up next, and some of the changes.
I mean, I'm just thinking, in order for these coins to exist on the SPS chain along with SPS, wouldn't we need to wrap them?
Yes, for ETH for sure.
And for finance, wouldn't we?
Maybe not. I don't know. That's going to be a conversation. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Polygon's kind of going through that a little bit too, and some of the gaming companies. And I think this comes down to like not being able to use one single wallet. The company that comes up with a single wallet for everyone that can kind of manage all these crypto will be probably one of the richest person in the world.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. So Clevin saying whales need exit ramp for their massive bags. I mean, I'm not a whale, but I want a massive bag to exit as well.
But your fee is like if you're like $10,000 or something, you may accept it. Because something like what VetV was trying to do, he just accepted the slippage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's more tolerable at a smaller dollar amount. Now, if you're going to do that small dollar amount like 100 times, then it becomes a very painful experience.
Well, that. So I have thought about this, and I'm just like, well, the thing is, if you're going to exit out in a large position, it's probably going to be because the market feels very overheated. So you're going to want to move a lot of capital over. You might accept it there.
Not
versus
necessarily.
I mean,
you can find a better home because as an asymmetric or as an accredited investor, there will always be opportunities at your door. It's just a matter of like you believe it's better or not, or maybe you can just sometimes someone with large wealth, you can actually just restructure a deal somewhere else, and you can get a better deal just by restructuring. It's like it's like Warren Buffett buying Solomon Brothers. He didn't give him a better deal. They just gave him a better structure.
Okay, I mean, well, I'm actually curious to know where you're thinking with this, because I think we're talking about two different things. My thought process was if in the next 6 months SPS does a 100x and goes to $3, there's going to be some whales out there that are going to take some of that off the table, and we're talking about millions,
they'll pay
maybe
the slippage. Yeah,
maybe even tens of millions. Who will pay the slippage just because?
Oh yeah, at that point, it's a no-brainer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what are you getting at with like the restructuring the deal?
Oh, right now they're just trying to optimize. Everyone's trying to min-max, like investors. They're just trying to optimize their holdings.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just bringing up the listing on the exchange. It's just another avenue for them.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and I think historically Aggie didn't want to pay out of the Steam Monsters bank account, but he's okay paying. He's always okay paying it out of the DAO account, even though it'll affect him to some degree, but it'll be lessened.
Well, I mean, I can understand that if that's not a worthwhile expense from the company, but if the DAO, which is community owned, decides that this is what they want, then he's going to go along with that because he benefits either way.
Yeah, because I think Steam Monster at best owns 40% of SPS, right, in aggregate. Mm-hmm. So then you're paying basically for 40% of something that you're not going to get 100% of the value.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I mean, I don't know how deep you are into the whole technical side of things, but is it possible that we have the SPS chain up and running in the next 6 months or by the end of Q3?
I view everything as LAN. So how you modulize the conversation, like, so you can get into like LAN 0.5, all of a sudden LAN 0.5 kind of disappeared and became 1.5, then 2.5. It's just a number. It's just a schema how we look at it. So
sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's Validator node is the same thing. Like Hardpoint's been doing behind the scenes. We haven't seen him in a while, and hopefully everything's okay with him.
Of
And
course.
so I don't know. And even this tech modernization piece, I don't have a grasp on like what layer and how they're going to layer and what are the components that it's going to go, and how so as a like a UI UX experience perspective, how does like tech modernization affect? I don't know. Maybe it's one day Nate or Matt, as someone or PJ can kind of give a cursory overview to those who have this curiosity. Because I don't know, like I can't imagine it in my mind mentally how it would kind of overlay. I'm sure it would be
Sure.
great, you know. I'm sure
Yeah.
it'd be represent huge improvement.
I'm curious now. I just kind of want to see the roadmap on where they had things, because it's similar to how I'm viewing land right now. Yeah, sure, everything's being chunked out and we're doing small bits and pieces here, but that's also I actually prefer this method rather than it's just like you're going to get land in its all glory on this date sometime at the end of the year, right? I
Yeah,
don't.
and gaming doesn't work that way anyway.
Well, I mean, traditional gaming did, right? Like you
Oh
would just
yes,
like things would
yes,
just be under the surface, and then all of a sudden it's just like, hey, we're
yeah.
releasing land today or next week or something like that. Whereas now, I actually think it's to their advantage as well to be doing this because they can tweak a lot of levers by having, land won't be fully ready by the end of Q2 with this 1.5, but they can start to eat up cards off the market. They can start to eat up DEC off the market by implementing smaller things without having all 40 plus resources available and buildings and all that.
And I think in terms of the user experience, it makes the user community feel better too. To see releases on a regular cadence, even small,
Agreed.
even
Yeah.
quality of life type. Even like a game like Pokemon Go, right? You you can continue to see updates, but it's not really like large updates. But they just continue to tinker it so they can get their 300 to 500 million in annual revenue from the community.
Yeah. Well, so now taking this back to the validators, right? Getting the vouchers on this so-called SPS chain, I don't know. To me, that gives me a huge boost of confidence because it's like, well, the project is up and running, right? To a certain extent, even if we just have one of the tokens that needs to be on there, it means that it's live.
Oh, it's live somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it's live.
We just don't know. We just don't know where the address is. It's live somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I guess to me, like, it shows progress, right? Land right now is really boring, but they are showing progress in the sense that, like, well, there's a map. There's a map now. We know what Pretoria looks like. You can own such and such plot, which exists in this tract, which exists, so like there's progress happening here. Now I have the roadmap up on a separate computer here, but it looks like they want SPS validator nodes, the mainnet, to be launched in Q3. So that is the time frame, and I guess neither of us is really technical enough to know if the progress that they're making so far is going to be enough to hit that. But
yeah, and they haven't shown us any of their immediate steps and things like that. In terms of the sub project plan or I don't know, or even the WB. I don't know. I just but we can. I think they're honest. I think in general, the Splinterlands team they try to be as honest as possible, and with all technical development structure, we know they're just not as accurate in terms of their predictions. So we just have to kind of on our end add some buffer time to it. And I know they're being a little bit more aggressive because you can't really tell the community, oh, you have to wait 3 years to get that, because then people will exit and people will worry for no reason. Instead, you just drag them along, do small updates. It's just like what they're trying to do with the land. You can stake some cards. You can, now you no longer get free SPS from the land. You have to do something to it.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely since the beginning of the year. Obviously, I feel like the releases have been much more significant, even if it's just small chunks. Like, the experience or the perspective that I have, I guess, as a content creator, which might be unique to me and the other content creators out there, but just dissecting it from a bird's eye view, is there's always something to talk about, and I don't have to like struggle to like come up
And
with
that's what
cool
you want,
ideas.
right?
Well, yeah,
As a
exactly.
developer, as a gaming studio, that's what
Yeah.
you want, to be able to create enough of an incremental content until you can get to that large content piece. So you
Well,
want enough conversations.
Exactly. Like if I go back and look at my, content from 6 months ago, maybe even a year ago, a lot of it would have been way more speculation on like, okay, well, I wanted to put out a video today, so I'm gonna talk about X, Y, and Z and what could be like in the future. Whereas now, like, I'll hear something, or there'll be a post, I'll have an idea for a video, and then like there's just so much stuff that I haven't even gotten to because it's like, oh, this is like cool stuff to talk about that's actually happening. Their patch notes every week, their deliveries and town hall stuff, and it's just like I don't have the time to cover all of it. But it's definitely been much more noticeable this year, which again is a positive thing because I don't feel like I'm struggling to come up with ideas or I'm just reaching. A lot of the stuff that I talk about genuinely interests me and is tangible or has some kind of basis in whatever they're actually talking about.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to the validator node, the one open question that I always have is how do they pay the DAO?
What do you mean? How do they pay the DAO?
Typically the validator node wants the SPS chain. So
Sure.
the node the validators get paid, and then so the question is
Oh,
how do the DAOs get paid? So typically, I think this is the one element that Matt left out, and I don't know if he did it intentionally or not.
okay.
So it's like, how does it get back to the DAO? Because as SPS stakeholders, the only way that we get paid after the airdrop is that the DAO has to earn a return.
Yes.
Otherwise, you just have a growth, right?
Sure. Yeah. Or we just end up getting vouchers for the rest of our lives from that. Which what's going to be interesting to on the GLX side. This is a question that I've had, again, another video that I've just never gotten around to, was like, what happens after the 12 months? Because for GLX, it's only 12 months of staking, and then after that,
Right.
you know,
It'll be the same as SPS. They'll stake it. They'll earn it. It's like us, like
but
the
but from
airdrop.
where are they going to pull from future projects again?
Yeah, it's the same way. It's
That's
it's always
BS.
it's always
That's
like that.
BS. No, no.
That's just the world's economy.
No. You know what my hope was,
Adam Smith's
which
invisible hand.
you know what my hope was on the GLX side, because they reduced the number of GLGT. It was only 10K rather than 20K. And then I kept thinking, if they find another way to like reward node license holders, or maybe node license holders only get GLX there, then after the staking, GLX stakers would receive GLGT, and that would be the only way to receive GLGT. So there would still be an incentive to stake, even though you're not receiving more GLX, but you are receiving this kind of utility token within the rest of the ecosystem. Again, that's how I would have designed it, but I'm an idiot, and so I don't know what their full
No,
plans are.
I'm with you on that. I think paying the vouchers from the SPS validator node, paying them to the node holder, the additional 20,000 every month. It's I think it was a bad decision. I
Agreed.
think they'll continue to see that it's a bad decision. But
Oh, they're going to
it'll
repeat it now with the GLX nodes.
yeah, it'll be the same because it's what they believe. I think let's see, State of Survival. He was asking a question on the validator or the GLX
All right.
validator.
All right. Yeah, jump here, and then we'll catch up with the rest of the chat. I know I feel bad skipping folks. So just curious your thoughts on GLX validator node drops from SPS holders. Do you think fractional GLX nodes are a good thing? Not sure if this is in the plans. I mean, I don't. There's no such thing as fractional nodes. What I was pushing for in the video was fractional kind of redemption tokens, right? So it's just like if it's going to be 5-1, for example, then you have. Oh, sorry, I got distracted. Somebody said they have Rooney 209. What's up, Ivan? I was like, are there two Roonies of the same? So it would just be a redemption token, right? That way, like if you only have one validator node, at least you're getting airdrops on value, because maybe you're not going to go out and buy it, but somebody who wants to redeem them, they're going to go through and buy them off the market, and the market would basically price it at 20% of whatever the nodes are going for. So again, I don't know what's going to happen. I hope we get some clarification. 5-1 seems to make a lot of sense if you're trying to line it up with a pre-sale of the Splinterlands or SPS nodes. But I bought a good couple of those, and I would love to see 1-1, which obviously isn't going to happen. So
Yeah, and I think regarding the fractional piece, it's hard to execute it from the team's perspective,
Sure,
because then you don't know what fractional
another
component
token.
that gets staked and things like that.
Yeah,
But what can happen is someone would create a server, and they'll host all the various nodes. So basically, if you were to, let's say they charge you 10% of the fee, right? They collect 10%. So they give back the node holders 90%. What they can eventually do is use that 10% or a percentage of the 10% to buy more and more nodes themselves. And then what
sure.
they can do is sell that to the community on a fractional basis. And this is like what's happening in the Philippines and Malaysia, Indonesia. A lot of the countries, they're doing fractional ownership. Eventually, you take over, you can own it.
I think there's a project within Splinterlands, which is like the easy license thing where you can buy like 1/100th of a node.
Yes.
See, again, another like phenomenal project that I just haven't had time, time to cover
Yes.
here. But
Yeah.
it's like, you know, when I saw that, and I got the chance to meet Chance the guy
Yes.
at
Yep.
Splinterfest.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, he it seems like a really interesting project, and
Yeah, and he's
I
hosting
wouldn't
it
be
for
surprised to see
free,
more of that.
and yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised to see more of that in the future. But it makes it accessible for everybody.
Yeah, and I think Gala nodes will go that direction as well. Long term, is that it just becomes so expensive if the project is successful.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Hold
mean
on.
there are risks for holding the node. Is that it could just be terrible and you can't dump it. So that's the other piece.
Okay, hold on. We got way off track here in a good way, because I enjoy the rabbit hole nature of our conversations. But you did get me thinking about how the DAO gets paid, because from my understanding right now, Ethereum validators receive a portion of the fees, right?
Yes,
Appor-
they collect.
appor-
Yeah, they collect. I think like a couple percentage points,
So
depending on they determine it themselves. Yeah.
so to me, I mean, this is something you're absolutely right. It's odd for Matt to leave out. Now, I know somebody had mentioned here that, you know, the DAO gets paid from future pack sales. Andrew saying
Oh
mini pack
yeah,
sales,
that's meaningless.
which, well, but to
First, you have to
me,
sell it first.
that, yeah, well, you need to design it, you need to sell it. I don't mind
Yeah.
that being something, but I also feel like there should be more, right? Like I'm all for like having 1% of market transactions go towards the DAO, or, you know, to continuously fund the DAO. I'm all for, I mean, the beauty of it existing on the Hive chain blockchain is that you have feeless transactions. So
Sort of.
sort of, yeah, but you would never like, for us to like exist on top of the Hive blockchain, to hold HP in order to have feeless transactions, only to then operate on the SPS chain and have transactions on the SPS chain be
They'll
charged a
have to.
tax.
Yeah, it's a double taxation structure.
It's weird.
That's what I was referring to in a previous conversation. Is that eventually Splinterlands as an Steam has to make money or discourage these people from having those that have more than 300 Hive power to abuse the system.
I'm just trying to find a way to make help the DAO make more money, because it's all good and fine now, but in 3 years we're gonna be like, oh, hey,
The DAO has to constantly collect every day.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's hold on. Let's catch up on some of the chat here. Herps is in the house. What's going on? It looks like that Paxi is a Polish dessert. It's a cream or jelly filled donut.
Oh man.
That sounds dangerous. Simran, that is also not a pancake virus. So you know, you're gonna have to go out and get a little bit more carbs today.
Maybe what he can do is make a little smaller ones and layer it into a pancake, and then bake the pancake into it.
Oh, I thought what you were gonna say is like literally just grab one of those jelly filled donuts, smash it so it's the size of a pancake, and then eat it.
Might be messy.
Oh, it'd be really messy. But Virus, please post a video if you do. All right. So I mean,
Yeah, the problem with the card rental is that we're paying 5% already, right? For the market, and then we're also we have to pay the Hive blockchain piece already, because we have to hold, and then on top of that now, and on top of that now there's going to be probably minimum 1 DEC for putting it on.
I want to get to that. Your thoughts on that in a second. Let me just catch up on the chat here so people know that I see them. Right now I'm in about 3K SPS. Yep, I'm dealing with slippage on that as well. Slippage on the front end as well. What else? SPS for rank battles land doesn't come from SPS pack sales. All right, Brian, what's going on? Oh, Brandon is in the house. What's going on, Brandon? What are your thoughts regarding the upcoming 1DC? Oh, okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and pause here. Plus or minus, positive or negative overall for this?
It has to happen. It's an eventuality. It's the only, these fees. It's an eventuality. The team has to charge it. It's just that you get all these double, triple penalties as a consumer. And I love how Aggie always says, yeah, it's small, and then he goes, I'm in the worst shape. I have way more cards than you guys.
Yeah. I wish it was a 0.1 DEC listing fee. I don't know, that would feel significantly less, but still a barrier for those who are abusing the system, because isn't that what they're going for? They're just trying to stop abuse and spam.
Yep.
So
I
feel
like
like
me. This is like the conversation we had over the difference between the Ronin exchange and the Hive is that Centralized Steam Monster has no authority over Hive, so they can't affect it to, like, the simplest is they can change the way the Hive blockchain is, the Hive power is being utilized, but they can't. So all they can do is tax you more.
So it's not even that you're okay with this, you just feel like it was an eventuality.
Yeah, it has to happen, and whether we like it or not.
Now, do you see this as something that should be burned, as is currently the plan,
Yes.
or potentially used to pay the DAO?
No, it has to be burned, because that's part of the contribution to kind of the flywheel, so to speak. So it has to help burn. We have too many DEC. It's going to be years before we see DEC dwindle to a manageable amount.
I actually think we're going to see it in Q2. I know. I'm being too bullish right now, but I actually think we're going to see some major moves in Q2. I don't know what it is, but it feels like, and this is going to sound super negative because I'm going to say it in that way, but it feels like there's almost a desperation, right?
Oh, yeah, they have to pull all levers.
I mean, the team is just going crazy Hail Mary. So part of that makes me bullish, because it's just like they're going to go for gold in 2023, just to put us in a good position, so that people like yourself who are just like, oh, it's going to take years, they're just doing this to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
All right, hold on, let's see what else we got here. Carlo 87, what's going on? Good evening. 1 DEC fee to the DAO. I actually don't. I mean, it's funny because we're talking about two things that need to happen here, right? Like we need to get the flywheel going, so I don't mind it being burned. But then we're also talking about how does the DAO continue to sustain itself? Obviously,
right now.
It can't right now, but everything that we're looking at to sustain the DAO, whether it's a market fee, or market transaction fee, a market listing fee, the team doing mini sets, all of that is very dependent on external factors that are not happening on the actual SPS chain itself. So I mean, obviously everything is interlinked, but I don't know. Pronounce Ponchki. Oh, I didn't see an N in there. Or is this just a it's probably,
man, Gathering the Magic knows all about dessert. Damn.
I know. All right, well, it's not Poxy, it's Ponch Z. Polish, with a silent with a invisible N. So no, it's all good. Thank you for correcting us so that we know how to say it properly. I just hope I can remember the next time I come across that. Actually, I'm going to take my son out for donuts, and then I'm going to teach him Ponchki when we see the jelly filled one, so that both he and I will know and we'll be educated on proper Polish dessert. Love the 1DC credit fee. Didn't know there were that many 1B6 transactions per day. Yeah, I'm sure. I prefer to pay subscription fees.
Yeah.
The nickel and diming fees. People want to get away from the banks.
Yeah,
I don't like subscription fees, but
the problem with the subscription fee I think a typical rental market would be okay, but I always fundamentally believe that the Splinterlands community is smarter than your average bear, so they'll find ways to circumvent everything.
Yeah. I think my Mesa 1 DC is for the common rental user, not a high amount. The thing is, 1 DEC at the end of the day at peg is 1/10 of a penny. So, that's not.
But if
I
you
can.
have, let's say, 2,000 cards, and they're all level, maxed out.
Well, now this seems to be another shot potentially at bots renting low level cards and just farming bronze because if it is not profitable for me to rent out my 1 BCX cards, then it incentivizes me to either level them up for my own deck or level them up to rent out at silver level, for example, at which point I'm earning more and it becomes more cost prohibitive for someone like the bots. But for regular people that want to come in and play at silver, they can come in, do the math for them.
Yeah, it comes down to my fundamental belief that players have to play at silver level too, and then any other newcomers that want to come by and they just want to tinker around the game, they can play anything under silver level too. And there's just not as many bot competition or anything. But I think if you own a bot, you got to get it to at least silver level too to make money, anyways.
True. Yeah. Vars is saying they should make it a 1 DEC minimum rental amount with taking cards off the market after 30 days. The problem is people that pull all the 1 BCX common rewards for rent. So, because I've heard this argument, or not argument, but this suggestion as well, especially on Mav Chat. Do you have any thoughts on that 1 DEC minimum rental versus this listing fee?
I think the overriding question is, and comment is that Aggie does not want to put a minimum on the rental market. So I think that's out of the conversation in my mind. That's out of scope because of that.
Seen as market manipulation.
Yes.
At that point.
Yeah, there's. I think if you were to extrapolate this to the DAO being on a top 3 exchange, so one of the things, the hesitation that I think the DAO and the community should consider, there are fundamental legal ramifications or technical ramification when you list it on one of the top 3 exchange, because they're, especially Binance, they're under heavy scrutiny right now. And I think the US government and the SEC or any one of those entities would love more than anything to have CZ messed up on a couple of technical things.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Name subscription will not stop the abuse. What's name subscription? If you list something on Hive. I mean, I agree that so if it's worthwhile, they will pay the subscription. The move for 1 DC cost to list for rent may make me sell off rentals and buy from gold to diamond. Hey, there you go. That's probably exactly what they want, Aaron. This is a big change to the game. The minimum fee should nuke card rentals less than 1 DEC, and the 30-day auto cancellation will clean up a lot of bad/lost listings. Has anyone heard how Splex will be addressing this change? Yeah, I mean, Gene Pool was in Mav Chat. He was the saltiest that I've ever seen him.
Yeah, and
but this is a direct kind of attack on his service.
Yeah, so the 2 large rental agencies within the Splinterlands community, I think they should have a feature where you can list a minimum for all your cards. So, yeah, like for instance, if I have cards I just want to send to Splex, right, at my Splex account, I should have an overriding feature that I only wanted to list it at minimum 10 DEC. And so they cannot list, so the bot can. So the bot can. I know. I understand where Gene is coming from a revenue standpoint, and I know by me putting a higher floor on my card, it just represents the fact that I know I knowingly acknowledge that. So this is like one of my biggest complaints and gripes with any of the 2 rental is that they don't allow a user, and I understand that, and maybe others that have larger rental accounts than me can chime in and things like that. Like I have almost 2.5 million CP, right? So it's not a large rental account. So others can chime in, but I just wish that we can have a minimum.
You're absolutely right. I use Rank Golem or Splex, and I really appreciate the service that Gene puts in. But I do remember there have been certain times when I would go in and I would see like certain cards renting for like stupidly low prices, and I'm just like,
I struggle every day. I shake my head on that because I can't control the bot.
Yeah, and I'm just like, yes, it's making my life easier, but it's also making poor decisions that, ultimately, yes,
Yeah.
it's making poor decisions that I'm paying for, right? It's like I'm paying a
Like
fee
one
on
of the
top of this
biggest
low
challenges
revenue.
yeah, like I fight with the rental bot on the max out gold Kalia, right? The
Mhm.
level 8 Kalia, because the bot does not programmatically rent it at the correct market value, and it has no, because there aren't that many levels
Yeah,
maxed out level 8 gold Kalia, for instance, on the rental market.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, that would be something interesting. I wonder if they'll
But if
consider
they
doing
allow
that.
me to submit a minimum on like a legendary or rare or gold class, then
I mean, I
yeah.
actually don't know why you don't just manage that yourself. I mean, I know it's
I
probably
can. If you go over 1.5 million CP, it's hard to. It would take on a daily basis. So
uh-huh.
it would take on a daily basis about 2 hours to manage a 1.5
Okay, fine,
million,
sure.
and
No,
then
you're right.
at two
But
point five it takes
are you
about
getting
two
more
point
than
five.
just gold Kalias or no?
What's that?
Are you diversifying into other cards outside of gold Kalias?
Yeah. I have
Okay,
about
well, then that makes
well,
sense.
I have some that I just take gambles because of rental plays and some of the things, or I think the team will, and it's just I think I can absorb certain returns, and it's just a gamble. I view like cards. It's like you said, as an asset class. It's an inflationary,
Oh yeah,
and
it's
but
terrible.
it's a terrible investment long term. But I think you have to have an exit strategy on it, and I think what
Mhm.
like so this is what like Jarvie is doing with, and this is like I think it's genius what he's doing with the decks and like how he's making, and I
Was
think
that
the
what you
next
wanted to see him do or no?
one of the equations,
One of
yeah.
the things. Okay.
Yeah, so like what he's doing is just fantastic for the
Yep.
community and
That
for
was great.
EKN.
I love the feature.
Yeah. Yeah, and it allows people to showcase their decks, and it's anytime like you can create a version where you can flex something, it's fun.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So it's not 1v6 transactions. It's bots changing. Yep. Okay. What's up, Canada 804? Hello. So, state of survival. Aggie really stressed that lots of stuff are coming into the game and there'll be loads of resource sinks. He said to get ready. Not sure if you caught that. Yeah, I mean, but Aggie's always hyping stuff up. So I feel like at this point, here's the thing. At this point, I feel like a lot of people are looking at Aggie and being like, "Oh, it's the boy who cried wolf." I'm not going to get too excited. Except I do think that Splinterlands is actually going to deliver this year by getting a lot of those sinks in place. Now, will the community actually be incentivized to go for it? I mean, it's going to be expensive. I mean, think about the fact that at Peg, right? We're not at Peg right now, but if you wanted to get on your land plot, all three of those, the land starter package, it's like $7.50. We'll just say it's like $20, right?
Will
If
they all
you
be sold out, you think? Like
Well,
quickly?
well, my point is that, like, look at how it's taxing the landowners, which you said, right? It's $20, and if you have a region with 1,000 plots, I mean, I'm not that great at math, but isn't 20 times 1,000 20 grand that
Yeah.
someone's going to need to spend
Yeah, that's what I
additionally
mean.
on their land?
Who's gonna buy in this stated economy? Who will buy
I don't
that
know.
many and that belief?
Well, I mean, but what I'm trying to say is that the sinks are going to be there. I think the team is
Oh
actually going to
yeah,
deliver on the sinks being there. Now, whether or not people find it worthwhile is going to be crazy. I think about, like, oh yeah, a region would be nice. I would love to have a region, but damn, I would not want to spend 20 grand just on starter packages for my
yeah.
land.
I mean, it's inconceivable for me to not believe that over the next 3 years there will be a large amount of sinks in the game.
Yeah,
The only question I have is, will there be people buying?
yeah. Well, I think the canary in the coal mine, or preview, or whatever you want to call it, is the fact that there are actually a lot of voucher sinks right now on tower defense packs, on Rift Watcher packs.
Yeah, but those are not motivating
That's my point. So
because they're
we've
not
had
doing
we've
NDEC
well,
on the Rift
but
Watcher.
even tower defense packs, I mean, those are barely moving.
Yeah,
So, but
because
again,
it's tower defense. They don't have the game yet.
we don't have we don't have a game yet.
Once they have the game, people can
Okay,
see
fair
it, and
fair enough.
it'll move. Yeah,
Fair enough. Fair enough. And they did shoot themselves in the foot with proposing the Rift Watchers for DEC and that not passing, because I think ultimately
yeah.
people, even if you want it now, or even if you voted against it, whatever the case is, now everybody's just waiting to see if they'll propose it again.
And
5 months
even the
later.
nodes, it's not going to move without selling for DEC.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not going to move.
All right, Brandon says Splex will be fine. That's good to know. Having massive amount of 1BCX cards for the rent is not in line
Oh,
with the vision of the
I don't
game.
think it'll impact Splex
Yeah.
much. They're just a rental agency.
I mean, I think it'll impact them a lot, but I also think that they're nimble enough to. I think they're nimble enough to move.
But they
the
get
market.
10% of the fees.
Yeah, well, yes, but that long
It'll only
tail.
go up. The dollar amount of the rental market will only go up. They'll make more from the 10%.
Okay, fine. That argument, yeah, I'll buy that argument. The only thing I was going to say is that the long tail on the 1BCX cards being rented out was incredibly long because there were so many bots and so many reward cards.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I agree with you. Fine, I can see the argument that as people level up their decks, the income will increase as well.
I think land is going to be the killer for Splex and Rent Golem. It's a reallocation of cards to land, but at the same time, I think the revenue for card rental market itself will go up. It'll balance. So those who opt to rent their cards will receive more.
Yeah, I mean, I am not worried about Splex in any way. Obviously, I'm on the outside, so I can just say that. But I do have to give a shout out, not to Gene, although Gene is awesome, but Yixin, who was actually on this channel, for
he's
Splex.
The founder,
who's the dev behind it, right? Gene does a great job of like selling the services, explaining to people how stuff works, and just getting the word out there. But I think you and I talked privately about this too. But like, it's actually incredible to see the amount of innovation and how quickly Yixin has been able to get things up and running within Splex. So shout out to him.
There's like if they were to expand outside of that, there's probably 1 or 2 games that they can get into that.
Yeah, I'm sure Centralized is keeping him super busy though right now.
Well, maybe they hire someone.
Level Up Life saying having massive amounts of 1BC card. Okay, we got through that. Well, sort of Tails, a lot of 0.1 rentals. All right, so Tails saying I haven't had a chance to check Discord. Was there an official announcement made? 30-day cancellation will clear up all 0.1 DEC rentals. Will people really pay one? No. Okay, you guys are talking to each other. That's awesome. Although I do want to read your conversation. No official announcement.
Curious, so the group that they'll affect is actually what Virus and Ivan's talking about. It's actually Peak Monster on the rental piece because Jarvie does it by tier. So it'll be less transaction for him. Yeah.
So you're talking, okay, where is he for Peak Monster? Says less repricing. Oh yeah, that's something in it. All right, you guys are talking too much, guys. Slow down on the comments. I can't keep up. Stop commenting. I'm gonna put you on timeout. I'm just kidding. Now subscriptions. Okay, that makes sense. Splex has a minimal rental floor feature already. Wait, they do, though it is cumbersome as it is card by card. That will likely be updated given the change. Okay, so I'm sure they're gonna move towards something that'll be more in line with what you want, Foyet.
Yeah, that will be great.
I kind of feel like for people like J-Paul, others that make solutions, SPL keeps moving the goalpost for everything.
They make it increase the value to increase our quality of life and gaming experience.
Yeah, or he can just go buy SPS on PancakeSwap. Still counts. What are we talking about?
I think he's referring to the SPS, but there's a limit on the amount that SPS on PancakeSwap. When you buy a certain amount, it causes the price to spike too quickly.
Yeah, in fact, I can tell you right now.
Yeah. So if you go in and you
I'm
put
constantly
in
looking at this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, ultimately, PancakeSwap is still my on and off ramp.
Yeah.
Although I've been using credits more lately, or actually Bitcoin more lately into Hive Engine.
Yeah. I think the big ones when they cross it over to Polygon.
Let's see. If you wanted to buy, let's do this. Binance US dollars. So if I wanted to buy $1,000 worth of SPS, there is a 0.1% slippage. So you're already.
Yeah, but if you were to buy like 100,000.
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to find where like the minimum, like the price impact, where they say is like less than 0.01%. So the price impact less than 0.01% is if you buy.
Be nominal.
Oh gosh, yeah, really.
It's got to be super nominal.
Oh my gosh, I'm actually shocked at how low it is.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
so I mean,
it's
maybe $100 worth of SPS.
maybe
Maybe 100, maybe no,
it's
150,
probably less.
150 already pushes you at the 0.02%.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I looked at it before. It was like really nothing.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and if you go and you try to do like 100,000 of SPS, and it's yeah,
So, I mean, is this just a problem of liquidity then? Like, do
yes.
we need more liquidity on those?
Yes, and the only way that gaming studios and gaming experience can achieve that liquidity is to house it on their layer two, the SPS chain. Axie acknowledged this up front, and that's why they created the Ronin chain, and that's why they absorbed all and pay
So,
more on the liquidity pool.
so once there is a SPS chain that offers liquidity pools, is that going to pull away from the ETH and BNB
Yeah, but
liquidity?
they'll and that's what they want. That's what Ethereum wants you to do. They don't want you to send it to the centralized exchange and things like that. It's
Sure. Okay.
it's eventually what'll happen is that bankers, decentralized exchange, and traditional finance system will eventually they'll unilaterally on their end decide to buy your token.
Yep.
You don't have to reward them. You don't have to pay them, because at the end of the day, if enough people want your token, and if they want to be compensated and they want a part of their transaction, they want to be able to sell. It's like you go to JP Morgan Chase, they'll sell you different packages and things like that, and it's only because you have too much money and you just don't want to deal with it, and so you just pay them the slippage fee, and you just say deal with it. Yeah.
Hey, do you mind running through the comments here? I think I just got a knock on the door. I gotta go check something.
Yeah, no problem.
You can see the comments, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll be right.
Let's see here. Yeah, Harris, I think that amount is pretty large there. Let's see. In general, has anyone tried the Peak Monster, the deck building, and how do you guys feel about that so far? Or what has been your experience with it? Let's see. Specifically, okay. So Ivan, he's saying I was specifically talking about Peak Monster's manual rental pricing that allows you to see the medium, average, min, max price based on the percentile, not the auto. Yes, that's correct. I think it'll be easier to probably manage the card changes. I think the pricing on Peak Monster with the tiles piece of it. And I think if you pay their monthly subscription fee to Peak Monster, and especially if you pay it in PKM, I believe it's a lot cheaper compare. But I don't know in terms of the revenue standpoint. If you look at it and you accept the 10% from like a rent column or something like that, their fee, if at the end of the day, if it'll be cheaper. And I think one of the tenables I would look at the decision would be the value for PKM. If I think if Jarvie can drive the valuation for PKM to increase, then it would be significantly better for users to consider PKM as an alternative. And it would not shock me if long term, if Gene Pool and Rent Golem's Flex team provides some kind of token where you can get a reimbursement fee from the 10%, depending on the tier as well. I was talking about like so one of the reasons that would benefit Jarvie on the rental piece more users is if he can drive the intrinsic value, the pricing for PKM long term.
Yeah,
because they are cheaper from a subscription basis.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, I actually feel like I love what he did with the PKM token as kind of like this membership or loyalty, but there's definitely tons of opportunity to give it more utility, I think. And then if he sets a proper model for it, exactly like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if we see something from from Splex in the future
So
too.
like one of the things that Jarvie can do that I don't think many others can do is he can actually host his own Splinterfest with the PKM token.
Just make
And I don't want to keep giving, but that's like, yeah.
like you have to own X amount of PKM to be able to come or something like that.
Yep.
No. Well,
Yeah.
he'd have to get some kind of buy-in from the team, unless everybody just wants to go see Jarvie. And Jarvie's a cool guy. So
well, the beauty is there's it doesn't have to be the team-led Splinterfest. It'll just be the PKM Splinterfest. And I believe Jarvie has enough access to content creators and to players and the community that will join because of their investment in PKM and their value of PKM and what they can derive from being a PKM holder, a long-term PKM holder.
Yeah.
So he can actually create a more frequent event, and then leading up to the large one that's being held by Steam Monster. It's the Splinterfest, the main event. So he can hold regional ones that will lead up to. Obviously, they'll be smaller because it'll be a community for PKM holders. And it'll be virtual or not, or both,
Yeah. I mean, he could also do something at an actual Splinterfest by having almost like a side fest, right? Or side thing. But
that doesn't derive as much of an intrinsic value to PKM as if he were to take it and
specifically.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm saying I'm still unclear on land starter packages. You can't buy all three. I think you can buy all three. I probably misspoke in a video.
I believe you can, yeah.
Yeah, so I think I said in a previous video that you can't because I read it wrong. Land hype, voucher hype.
But I think most people will only buy the permanent one. I don't think they would buy something that's not permanent.
Like the totem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me.
I think the team should have embedded that totem package in the other two.
Like if you buy both.
Yeah, I learned that from Pokemon, right? See, this is what I love about the Pokemon sales is they figure out a way to make you FOMO.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, actually, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. It's all about forcing.
You just gotta find the right incentives. If we could charge for renting, how about selling? There are plenty of pricings there as well. I think it's for the market in general. So any kind of listing that you do.
Yep.
So there should be starter packages for a plot, tract, and regions. You know what can be great though is just like if you post something for to sell for X amount of dollars, and then you see someone who like underprices you at like X minus 1 penny. we'll hopefully see less of that.
Yeah.
All right, there should be starter packages for a plot, tract, region. 20k USD for a region is not that good for region holders. No, that's a lot of money. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep. That's why I don't think that many will buy.
Yeah. All right. So Virus is
unless they add a totem to it or something.
Specifically talking about Peak Monster's manual rental pricing. Oh, okay, you guys are still okay. Guys, what are you talking about? Splex let you put minimum rentals. All right, you guys are fighting, so I'll let you. $4.50 in SPS or DEC versus $3 or $3 in PKM. So if you're paying more, yep. The deck builders seem.
So we can put a minimum rental for all our accounts. Like all the cards universally like don't fall below a certain DEC amount. I need to look at it then.
On Splex?
Yeah.
Well, I think, but I think it's card by card. But yeah.
I know there's like a card by card piece, and you have to manually go through. But if you have like 2,500 cards, it's hard.
Yeah, no, that's not worth the time. That's why I was saying, where I'm just like, if you just find what the median price is, or something that you're happy with, and know that you'll have the card moved, like don't even bother.
That's the PKM model.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, the thing is, you don't even need to bother with Splex then, right? You could just do it manually and leave it. And then you check it once a day, once a week. And if the entire floor has moved, then you can change things around. But I agree, it will still take time.
Yeah, and I don't know if the Splinterlands team, the dev team, have an incentive to make it easier on you for rental and things like that. Yeah,
Virus, I really like the new deck filter option there. I want to use it for an alt as well. So it seems like something that should be pretty positive. I was hoping Peak Monsters added one-click rent So everything that, yeah, I want to see one click rent too. I think Jarvis said they're going to work on that.
Yeah, I believe so.
When I originally suggested adding a set feature to Jarvis, the deck feature is exactly what I had in mind. Oh, well, there you go. You got it. Lots of people will probably buy the time crystals to resell. It seems like that is going to be the case. What are your thoughts on GLX validator nodes? Are you looking to pick one up or more? One or more? Are you planning to pick any GLX nodes up?
I'm not really I think the ROI on the nodes in general. This is why I don't own a SPS node either. I think it's too volatile.
I don't disagree with that. I guess my straight answer would be no. I'm not looking to pick up one. I'm just.
But I will pick up one if it's really cheap.
That's you know what gets me is that there was a period of time. I mean, actually, still now that the nodes on the secondary market are trading for less than the pre-sale. Right? Like
because they get the return. You have the return, and then so every time it's like the Rooney pricing, right? You get to the point where you get if Matt allows like Rooney to be rented out in a easier format, that you look at your payback period changes.
Yeah. Well, I guess my point overall with that is you just don't have to. I don't know. I'm trying to avoid buying into the hype and FOMO. Pre-sales are just meh.
Yeah, in general, historically, games. I know like there's a bunch of even Illuvium or any that you get into stuck where it's hard to get your money back. You're locked into it.
Yeah, Tails is. I haven't even looked into these numbers yet, but if cost is 1,000 plus GLT and your return might be 51 GLX per day, price would need to be much higher for it to make sense for most people.
I agree with what Tails is saying. That's what I mean. The payback period, the ROI. It's that's why nodes. It's better off letting someone consume the initial upfront. Let them get their money, and then when they get enough, they'll sell it to you at a lower cost.
Well, there will be a little bit of game theory there, because it's like if node license rewards go live the same day that the pre-sale is, or like the day after. I mean, if we don't sell out of 1,000 nodes and maybe we only sell 200, well, then all of a sudden people are getting 5x the amount of GLX, which I don't know. I don't know how long that lasts, but there's a potential to earn a ton more GLX off the bat, and then it just becomes a matter of like, how much are you pricing GLX at? Sure, market prices it at 3.5 to 4 cents, but everybody thinks a little bullishly.
I think long-term vouchers will always be the best investment. Return wise.
Really? What?
Yeah,
why?
Long term. It's the mathematics behind it. It's the emotional intrinsic tie that people have. They're willing to dump it at astronomically low value, and then the team will somehow has to resurrect it because it's an Aggie product.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so if you're patient enough, it may take you 2 years, 3 years, who knows? But if you're patient enough, you'll always get a higher return on it. Voucher's the best return when you get it cheap.
Well, vouchers are the most volatile with the most activity, right? Yeah. So that's for sure, because their utility comes and goes. But
yeah, I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer for people who have patience.
I just don't see vouchers ever being $25 again. I mean,
it may never be $25, but what happens is like think of the velocity of change. So basically, you buy it at, let's say, 6 cents, 7 cents, and then you later on you convert it to whatever it is at $3, right? Even if you were to get $5 out of it, then you wait, and then it'll come back to a few cents again. Then you buy it again. Yeah, with that same amount of money, it's like. And you buy in such large volumes, like you buy it in 10,000 plus voucher increments, and that's when you get the return. Yeah. And there's a liquidity. The beauty of voucher is there's a liquidity, and it's one of the few products in Splinterland's universe that has a liquidity to it. People are happily dumping it to you.
Sure. I mean, the only times I can see vouchers actually spiking up is potentially when we get Rebellion, if there's that same kind of
euphoria. You just have to wait. Yeah, just have to wait. It'll eventually move.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll eventually want to buy packs. you'll eventually want to use it for stuff, and that has higher value already.
Yeah. GLGT has done a nice pump to 20 cents. Was around 12 to 13 about a week ago. How can you sell a validator node now for a game that doesn't even exist yet? I mean, what happens if MLS
Magic.
says, did you say magic?
Yes, just like Red Panda, but Lily.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't even get into that today. I mean, so Status Rival, just to address this directly. I mean, they obviously can't say the terms of the deal, but Aggie did say a long time ago that if they were to get into any kind of arrangement with the MLS or like sports or whatever, they would make sure it's like 3 to 5 years that they can have the IP. So there is a game that's being made. And actually, I think it's not on the MLS that's holding things up. It's on the Splinterland side of things that they just haven't. They don't have the game ready yet. Foyet just made Gathering the Magic very happy. Voucher hype. State of Survival, we're still not even at $300 vouchers yet. GLX will see a nice pump when people burn 30,000 GLX per node at current price. You think we're going to sell out right away? I don't know if the market.
What that?
You think we're going to sell out of the GLX nodes like instantly?
The initial, the pre-tranche, it always sells out so? because it makes the best mathematics investment wise. Yeah. I
mean, everybody here is talking about how the mathematics don't make sense, though.
It doesn't. It doesn't when you look at it like pure initial, but it's a one that you can get the highest return and you can dump it back on the market. It's one of the few guarantees, that you feel comfortable, safe as an investment. But after the pre-sales, no.
Yeah, I'm not interested in. And pre-sales right now. To me, it's not even like I think I've just seen enough. Well, it's not even like being burned by previous pre-sales. To me, there's just too many other opportunities in the market to go chasing after what everybody else is chasing.
Yeah, you have to look at where it's like for me the hardest thing in terms of like the Splinterlands game itself is figuring out where to deploy your resources, where the best do the reinvestment side of the house, right? Let's say I have the rental account, I get a certain number of DEC on a weekly basis. Where do I put it that I can get the highest return? Do I buy more packs? Do I buy specific gold cards and put it back on the rental? Do I buy vouchers? Do I wait? It's like,
that's a good point.
Yeah, but vouchers has been a phenomenal, deal. It's been the best investment, I think.
No. That's just it will be the best investment. It is not yet.
It has been historically for me.
You're buying at 7 cents and selling at 11.
Or you just buy it at certain points and you just sell it, or you get a certain amount. And
fine. All right, fair.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not at $5 yet for you. What are you talking about? It's not the best investment yet. It hasn't done the full 50x.
But you can do. It allows you to turn over, right? The velocity. So you can get to there. Yeah.
True. You wouldn't even get 50 GLX per day because of the airdrops. Correct. Don't give away all my plans, Foyet. Vouchers is how I ended up picking up 2 regular Foyet Lux for 300 each, and then swapping. Smart.
Vouchers are like a really good investment if you're willing to play around with it a little bit. Patient.
Tails has the comment of the stream here. How can you create a token SPS out of thin air and have it run up to $1? Answer Degens. And you know what? It's going to keep on happening and keep on happening. It's magic internet money, guys.
Yeah.
This is why, it's so Tails is like asking me, he's like, Bitcoin Maxi, they're changing all this stuff. Like, how do you feel about that? And I'm just like, actually, nothing in Splinterlands anymore is sacred for me, right? And I think I was just looking at through rose-colored glasses, but it's not just Splinterlands. The entire market has made me very, very much more, given me much more conviction in being a Bitcoin Maxi. So Splinterlands is cool because you can make a ton of money. You also have to learn how to be able to hit the sell button.
Yes, anything, or you just have to be willing to ride out for the airdrop period and just evaluate then after you accumulate all the tokens. So you can have a couple different strategies.
Yeah.
I think one of the videos I actually was planning to do later is to figure out how would you if you were to do an evaluation on SPS. So the question is it worth the 2.9 cents that it's currently at? Is it worth more or less? And what would drive it to be higher and lower?
Are you asking me, or are
Yeah,
you?
like in your opinion, so Gank, for instance, went out and bought a bunch of SPS because he
Mhm.
believed that at I believe it was 2.7 cents he bought 2.8. I
Sure.
can't remember the exact number, but so he went out and he bought a bunch of SPS because he believed that SPS was hitting kind of towards the bottom of the floor
Uh-huh.
at that point. So they and obviously Agro and Ali believes that SPS is that. Otherwise, Ali wouldn't pop up on our our TV.
Mhm.
So they believe that this is the time for whales to exit now, to dump it on some large exchange and then to just dump the SPS token, have it run up and dump it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what most
That's
people are
it. Yeah,
sticking around
that's
for.
it. Yes, that's the only reason why Alios is appearing there.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that
He had 4 years to to show up, but he
yeah.
decided to show up now.
Well, that's an interesting way to look at
Yep.
it.
And he's a signature, and everyone's
Yeah.
been blaming Aggie for a signature, and Aggie took it for 2.5 years.
Well, I mean, I agree with you in the sense that there's going to be, there's still way too much distribution happening. So, if there's an opportunity to create some kind of like hype and FOMO cycle this year that gets SPS up into double digits or even, 50 cents, I highly doubt we're going to hit all-time highs in a bear market. But if that offers exit liquidity for a lot of the whales, they're going to take it. They're going to take it, and then they're going to come back late 2023, sometime in 2024, when things are quiet. Bitcoin halving happens, and traditionally nothing happens around the Bitcoin halving. It's usually like 12 to 18 months afterwards, and they'll come back and they'll buy in once SPS is back down at 2 cents.
Yep. Fat Jimmy had commented on the Lux
Fat
trade.
Jimmy's here. What? Let's
Yeah.
go.
But
Fat Jimmy.
the gold Cali is actually a better rental return than the Lux if he's looking just for a rental.
I acquired a Lux, traded for vouchers in JLX, all airdrop, now renting it for over 500 DEC a day. Let's go. I mean, Lux is a solid card.
It's solid, yeah. It wins a lot too.
It does win a lot, but you know what? It plays a lot. So,
But I'm wondering how the new Lily Dragon summoner will
any
go
thoughts
up
on that?
against Lux. Yeah, I'm kind of curious because I don't know if Lux can match up at it at the diamond and go on champion level. Because a lot of you wouldn't really invest in Lux to play at gold because there's just not enough SPS return on a daily basis.
Yeah,
but
I mean, people still do though. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know why, but yeah.
You know what? It might just be that renting Lux is probably cheaper than renting enough splinters, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see what Lily Shieldpaw, what Lily Shieldpaw can do.
Yeah.
I think that it's meta changing enough where we haven't even conceived of how we can use certain different combos yet.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that would match up against the likes of a Kitty or someone.
Mm-hmm. There's a chance that a lot of land will be dumped on the market due to the fact that it'll be so expensive to upgrade, maintain. So I could see land taking a nosedive.
That's my theory.
I don't even know if it'll be temporarily. I mean, fine. If temporarily is like on a 5-year time horizon, then yes.
I mean, think of all the people that own 1,000 or more plots, right? The region owner. They're not going to be able to maintain that.
I mean, it's an additional $20,000 investment. Now, I know landholders got a ton of SPS during the airdrop,
but they would lose their voice if they sell their SPS.
Well, exactly. So it's just
do it. Everyone. This is the beauty of holding like SPS, right? Everyone just wants it for voting. The whales, like not for people like us, but the whales.
Yeah. Well, and that's, this is a great point, because I think people are going, landholders who got in early are going to realize that, like, okay, the game's up. I've squeezed it dry,
Yeah.
and I'm still up 6x on my original investment. I got a ton of SPS airdrop to me. I have a bigger voice. I have a lot of upside potential with SPS.
Yep.
I don't want to put in X amount of dollars into
Yep.
land. So here
You're
you
gonna
go.
just dump it.
Yep.
Yep. So if you, I think for any that owns multi-region, they'll just dump at least one.
Yeah. I remember Brybro used to do like the land streams. And I really enjoyed those, just because I wanted to get his perspective. And he would always talk about how, like, oh, land's going to be like a full-time job for me after, whenever it comes out. And I would always laugh at that, because I'm just like, there's no way that land is going to be that tedious. They're going to find a way to make it. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because now I think he has 2 regions. And when I think about it, I'm just like, all right, just the initial startup capital for his 2 regions is going to be like $40,000 to $50,000.
And
Right.
he's been saving it from his.
That's
car
actually
rental.
a full-time job salary
Yeah.
for some people.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, that's the startup capital that's required. So it's just a very different perspective for, I think, landowners to see where things are going now.
Yeah. Yep.
BB Omega, by the way, pancakes.com, it was regarding Pancake Day, but I'm well behind because I'm working. It's all good.
And I think the real kicker are the people who are going to be the diamond and champion players. They're going to need all
Yeah.
of these spells and these extra
Yeah.
things that are the product of the land. They're going to have to buy and acquire to be competitive.
Yeah.
So then, yeah.
Yeah, land, I think, is actually going to be I think land is going to be incredibly profitable early on.
Oh, long term.
Well, I actually think early on it's going to be
Yeah.
profitable, because again, just think about how much of a startup cost you're going to need to put in. So early on, people are going to start seeing, like, hey, I have this resource, and, like, I'm one of maybe 50 land plots in the entire game that's choosing to, like, mine this resource. I think that's going to incentivize a lot of other people to come in and be like, oh, okay, well, if I buy this other land plot and I upgrade the building to this, and I stake 5 monsters on the thing, I can earn that too. And then the returns start dropping, similar to what we have with when a new set is out, and then slowly more and more come online or come onto the market.
Yeah, I definitely think you'll get your ROI faster.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. Being an early adopter in that space.
What's up, Stever? Are you just listening? Cool. Thanks for being here. Why is there no board for swap.hive on Hive Engine? Hasn't been for weeks. I don't know what you mean by no board. The point was Lux, huh?
Liquidity pool, or
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
The point was Lux was basically free via airdrop vouchers and GLX. Oh, that's fair. I mean, that's actually awesome.
Yeah.
So we printed free magic money with SPS, and we're doing it with GLX now. So, but it gets you cards in the game, as Fat Jimmy pointed out. I'm excited for Lily, just not a fan of the goofy art.
Wait until Byzantine wins the 3rd one.
Oh, I know. Nate said he was gonna do some kind of self-harm, so I do get worried about that. We're gonna have to make sure there's a pool. But, he actually said that on the town hall. It's just like, all right, that seems a little dramatic, but come on, Nate. I mean, I get it. He wants to make some badass dragon arts, and for the last 2 major editions, he's just had to deal with a cat and a panda.
See, he just has to get other people to outbid Byzantine.
Yeah. I didn't even realize that this was Byzantines until a couple weeks ago. But glad you got him back on. More node hype, 2-to-1. Oh God, I hope it's 2-to-1. That'd be great. I agree. I think people that own 200 to 1,000 plots and think they will work on all the pieces are greatly misguided. I mean, look, there's a lot of rich people out there that just want to, like, play with land, and, like, that's fine. Actually, those are the people we need to come in who have no, it's not an ROI play for them. They want to be emperor. Okay, like, they want to be emperor in the game.
Now that is the fun topic. That's going to really drive a lot of conversations.
Oh, I mean, what in a good way or bad way?
Yeah, a good way. I think
it's gonna be great.
It's very competitive. It'll be fun, and I think the unlimited cards staking. I think that those are really fantastic ideas.
Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, what I like about the way that they're designing land now with all these different things is we need more vanity metrics on here, because we just need, y'all talk about wanting people who are going to come in and will buy vanity rather than try to have, invest in the game. And so whether that's buying vanity through rare cards or through whatever, I don't know. I think that's gonna be great. Like, I had the idea for like guilds being able to like customize or whatever if they wanted to, but just stuff that I know it's taken from Web 2, but if people want to spend money on it and burn DEC for it, don't stop them. Don't stop them. Just let them do it. It's for the good of the economy, and if I have to swear fealty to him as my emperor, then that's fine. Like,
Now, what happens if they want to sell that title? What would it be worth? That's what I wonder.
well, I don't think that'll be a sellable title. I think it'll just be floating, like whoever's contributed the most. So I think it's going to be jumping around.
Yeah. That makes it even more interesting. Yeah, that you can't buy it, you have to.
Well, just imagine. Let's see, who are two people we could throw in here just to have some fun. Who else has a region? Oh, Aggie. Aggie has a region.
Aggie, Matt. Right. Matt Clark.
We'll just Matt, okay. We won't use team. Let's go with Matt Clark and Gank, right? So they each have a region, and they each have. I mean, Gank he's a content creator, so he has a following, but I'm sure Matt Clark will have a bunch of friends in Capital, whatever. And
they have their own guild. They're in Australia. Yeah, they have their own guild. So just imagine, they both just keep shooting for the title, and then what's his name? Gank finds ways to like reward his audience on YouTube by sending him extra cards to stake or sending him extra DEC, right? And Matt Clark's doing the same thing with his guild, and me, I'm just sitting here watching the price of SPS go up so that I can dump it on all of you guys. That's exactly what I want. That is exactly what I want. So let them fight it out. Yeah, so that's a small player's version of like being able to monetize SPS, right? Being able to dump, because we can't do it at the large scale.
Yeah, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
So Brandon's saying FI one DC rentals plus season rentals post is in process. You have a confirmed listing, will not be an active authority. All right, cool. Did they post it already? Or I guess you said in process, but we'll see it soon. Fat Jimmy, I was asking. Okay, you're talking to Fat Jimmy there. Land being designed as a DEC sink is a scary thought. Making that priority. Make land function as a profitable model, and have DEC burning work in a reasonable rate. There's a danger they will make it way too expensive to maintain, all in the name of burning DEC. Agreed.
There's just too many DEC.
Well, I think what Fat Jimmy's trying to get at here is you're going to scare people off from the game, realizing that they actually can't profit off of it, and so that's why I actually think it's important that we do this whole silly.
That's not about profit.
Yeah,
but
it is, because Matt has talked about like you want to run your business, right? So
yes, but that Emperor title is not about
but the Emperor title is not. So early on, I think it's going to need to be subsidized by people's egos, right? We're going to need somebody who wants to come in and be the first Emperor, and therefore like sink a bunch of DEC or burn a bunch of DEC into land. Because people
think of like when Larry Ellison and Bill Gates were bidding for Lanai Island, right? It's the same thing.
Oh, what happened there?
Larry Ellison ended up winning the bid for Lanai Island off of Hawaii, and they had a couple of multi-billionaires just bidding away.
Bidding away.
Yep.
I have 5 plots, which is about what I think I will be able to manage. 150k DECB isn't too bad. I wonder where that's at right now in terms of sales. I get 3 to 4 DEC a day. Nice. Free my opponent. Let's go. I rent those opponents every once in a while. Thanks, Tom. All right, cool. We're all caught up with chat. If you're emperor or king of a region, you should be able to assign titles.
I think that's a good idea, like assign additional titles and things like that, or grant titles, I should say.
They got to make it fun, almost to the point where it's gonna feel like kids on a playground. So there's gonna be some power hierarchies and bullying, and I mean, not that I'm
Yeah. So
for
what?
bullying, but it's gonna
Yeah.
make it interesting if people have like, oh no, you know what, you're gonna be you're the jester, you're the court jester because I don't like you.
Right. So I think instead of like just only positive titles, the
Mhm.
emperor should be able to assign negative titles as well.
What's your favorite negative title?
I don't know. I think there's variations of like jester, slave. There's a lot of different things. So like what you want to do is actually affect their land, right? So
Sure.
so there has to be like an econometrics effect. So when you put like something that that would slow down your land production by X%. I mean, it's
Yeah.
nominal, but it's still it's annoying, right? So I think those are things that I don't know if they'll consider. But,
Yeah,
I think
people are
negative.
going to be too upset about that. I mean, because it impacts your real world earnings. It's not
Yes.
just in a game anymore.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I personally cannot wait for the Cointelegraph article that is headlined "Splinterlands players assigning others as slaves" or something like that. No press is bad press, right?
Yeah.
Serf gathering the magic.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, we've been on for almost 2 hours for
Yeah.
you, so I think I'm going to wrap up here.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts? How are you feeling overall with the game? Are you bullish? Are you bearish?
Wait and see.
Yeah. The most
Too
middle
early.
of the road answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it feels as though we're gonna sell out of Chaos Legion. I think at this point, if the incentive structure is enough, which 100 land plots for the winner seems like a good amount.
Probably third week of March.
I don't even know if we make it to mid-March at this point. They're going to take out another 300K for the proposal that just passed, 250K for Nifty. I don't know. Things could get interesting starting in less than a month here.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
Oh, and perfect. Game is up. Great timing. All right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out. Foyet, as always, this was a ton of fun. So, and you want to plug your channel one more time?
Oh, yeah. It's just it's the Rooney 207.
Let me see if I can find it real quick right now,
That's just
and then
YouTube.
link to it in the comments.
I only have three short videos on there so far. Yeah, I just started it.
Hey, that's more than zero.
Yeah.
Rooney 207 with a space, no space.
No
there we
space. Yeah. So I'll try to do daily videos, but yeah.
There you go, guys. All right. Foyet has his channel up and running. Please make sure you go and support, check it out, and have an amazing rest of your day. I hope the maintenance went well.
I did create a video that for content. I listed the content creators on there. So that'll probably be the difference. One of the difference for my channels. I'll probably create documents for people to download.
Oh, okay, cool. You wait. So you did a video of rating all the content creators in order of,
not rating, just listing the.
Because I'm curious where
just listing the active ones in alphabetical order.
Awesome. Oh, in alphabetical order. Thank you so much. I know why you went alphabetical order for me. I appreciate that. All right, guys. Have an amazing rest of your day. We'll catch up with you soon. All right. Peace.
Yep.